Lahat ng drama, lahat ng tawanan, lahat ng iyong all-time hits. Ang tanging huntahan ng Masang Lamaw. Number 1 sa Mega Manila, nationwide pa. Broadcasting from TGON, TVH Group of Networks. Dito lang sa inyong iisang himpilan. Kool FM. You are listening to Kool FM. Live from Kool Studios. This is koolNews at noon.
Good afternoon, and welcome to koolNews at noon. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. officially installed his good friend Sonny Angara as the new Education Secretary to lead the Department of Education, DepEd. The oath-taking ceremony took place at the palace on Friday, July 19, exactly a month after Vice President Senator Duterte quit the Marcos administration's cabinet. I have just administered the oath to our good friend here, Secretary Sonny Angara, for his new position in the Department of Education. That formalizes his taking on the position of Secretary for DepEd, Marcos said during the event. Marcos also expressed optimism about his appointment of Angara as DepEd chief. We have had some discussions before he took his oath to give ourselves a good idea of what we think needs to be done. I know Sonny knows what is important, and I know that he knows how to get things done. So I am very, very optimistic for DepEd, he noted. Angara, just resigned senator, thanked Marcos for trusting him to lead such an important government department. Mr. Marcos, I know how much you value education, much as every Filipino family does. I look forward to working very closely with you in the coming days and months for the needed reforms in our educational system, for the benefit of our learners, for the benefit of future generations, he said. Vice President Senator Duterte resigned as Education Secretary in June and officially handed over the DepEd leadership to Angara on Thursday, July 18. Following the turnover ceremony at the DepEd Central Office in Pasig City, Duterte was asked by reporters if her resignation from the cabinet was related to her rift with First Lady Lisa Arianta Marcos. No, she replied. The First Lady has nothing to do with my job working with President Marcos, she added in Filipino. Okay, give me a second. Okay, back to what I was saying. So now let's continue. Give me a second. A woman whose murder conviction was overturned after she served 43 years in prison was released Friday, July 19 after Missouri Attorney General fought for more than a month to keep her behind bars. This is international news. I forgot to say that one. Sandra Mem, age of 63, left prison Friday in Chilchote hours after a judge threatened to hold the Attorney General's office for contempt if they continue to fight against her release. She reunited with her family at the nearby park where she hugged her sister, daughter, and granddaughter. You were just like a baby when your mom sent me a picture of you, she said. You look just like your mama when you were little, and you still look like her. Her granddaughter laughed at that a lot. The judge urgently ruled on June 14 that Hema's attorney had established clear and convincing evidence of actual innocence and overturned the conviction. But Republican Attorney General Andrew Bailey fought her release in the courts. It wasn't too easy to convict an innocent person and way harder than it should have been to get her out, even to the point of court orders being ignored, her attorney Sen O'Brien said. It shouldn't be this hard to free an innocent person. During a court hearing Friday, Judge Ryan Horstman said that if Hemem wasn't released by a designated time, he wanted Bailey himself to appear in court Tuesday morning, and he threatened to hold the Attorney General's office for contempt. He also scolded Bailey's office for calling the warden and telling prison officials not to release Hemem after an appeals court panel said the U.S. woman could be released. I would suggest you never do that, Horstman said, adding to call someone and tell them to disregard a court order is wrong. The Missouri Corrections Department then confirmed Hemem, who's been in prison for 43 years, would be released before 6 p.m. Central Daytime Savings time on Friday. She is going right up to her father, O'Brien said. Her father was hospitalized with kidney failure and recently moved to palliative care. This has been a long time coming. He said previously that delays had caused their family irreparable harm and emotional distress. There are still struggles ahead. She's going to need help, he said, noting she won't be eligible for Social Security because she has been incarcerated for so long. Over the last month, a circuit judge, an appellate court, and the Missouri Supreme Court all agreed Hemem should be released, but she was still held behind bars, leaving her lawyers and legal experts puzzled. I have never seen it, said Michael Wolff, a former Missouri Supreme Court judge and professor and the emeritus of St. Louis University Law School. Once the courts have spoken, the courts should be obeyed. The lone hope of the freedom came from the Attorney General, who has filed court actions seeking to force the U.S. woman to serve additional years for decades of prison assault cases. The warden at the Chiliote Correctional Center has declined to let Hemem go on Bailey's actions. Horstman ruled on June 14 that the totality of the evidence supports a finding of actual innocence. State Appeals Court ruled on July 8 that Hemem should be set free while it continued to review the case. The Missouri Supreme Court on Thursday declined to undo the lower court rulings that allowed the U.S. woman to be released on her own recognizance and placed with her sister and brother-in-law. Bailey, a Republican facing opposition in the August 6th primary election, responded with another request on late Thursday, asking the circuit court to reconsider. Hemem was serving a life sentence at the Chiliote Correctional Center for the 1980 stabbing death of library worker Patricia Esquet in St. Joseph, Missouri. She has been the longest held wrongly incarcerated woman now in the U.S., according to her legal team at the Innocence Project. Hemem's immediate freedom was complicated by a sentence she received for crimes committed while behind bars. She received a 10-year sentence in 1996 for attacking a prison worker with a razor blade, and a 2-year sentence in 1984 for offering to commit violence. Bailey had argued that Hemem represents a safety risk to herself and others that she should start serving those sentences now. Her attorneys countered that keeping her incarcerated any longer would be a draconian outcome. Some legal experts agreed. Peter Troy, a law professor at the Washington University School of Law in St. Louis, said the effort to keep the U.S. woman in prison was a shock to the conscience of any decent human being, since evidence strongly suggests she didn't commit the crime. Bailey's office did not immediately respond to messages seeking comment Friday. Bailey, who was appointed Attorney General after Eric Schmidt was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2022, has a history of opposing overturning convictions even when local prosecutors cite evidence of actual innocence. Horseman, after an extensive review, concluded in June that Hemen was heavily sedated and in a malleable mental state. When investigators repeatedly questioned her in a phys, uh, phystic hospital after the killing, her attorneys described her ultimate confession as often monosyllabic responses to leading questions. Other than the confession, no evidence linked her to the crime, her trial prosecutor said. The St. Joseph Police Department meanwhile ignored evidence pointing to Michael Holman, a fellow officer who died in 2015, and the prosecution wasn't told about FBI results that could have cleared him, so it was never disclosed before her trials, the judge found. Evidence it presented to Horseman showed that Holman's pickup truck was seen outside Jessica's apartment. He tried to use her credit card, and that her earrings were found in his home. Horseman, in his report, called Hemem the victim of the manifest injustice. Alright, it is now 11:11. It's now 11 minutes after 12, which is 11 in the afternoon, and koolNews at noon will return after these messages. Welcome back to koolNews at Noon. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources (BFAR) said shellfishes from Bataan are now safe for consumption. This developed as the BFAR lifted the warning it issued Wednesday along Bataan's coastal waters due to the presence of Gynodidium catenatum, the microorganism that causes toxic red tide and paralytic shellfish poisoning. High concentration of Gymnotinium catenatum usually produce toxic red tides or the turning of seawater into reddish color. In a shellfish bulletin Friday, July 19, the BFAR National Office said all types of shellfishes and astets SP or alamang from the coastal waters of Bataan Province, Mariveles, Lima, Orion, Pilar, Hermosa, Rani, Abugay, and Samao towns and Balanga City are now safe to eat. To safeguard human lives, we are issuing this warning as cautionary advice to the public to refrain from gathering, selling, and eating all types of shellfishes and this SPP, locally known as alamang, from the mentioned localities of Bataan to avoid possible shellfish poisoning, the agency said in the previous statement. In a Facebook post on the evening of July 19, the BAR Central Luzon said it was glad to announce that the coastal waters of Bataan are now safe from red tide. After 3 consecutive analyses, the same shellfishes and other samples no longer have the organism that causes red tide, it said, adding that it will continue to monitor Bataan's coastal waters to ensure the safety of the public. According to the BFAR, fish, crab, and shrimp from areas with red tide are still safe to eat even if they are fresh and washed thoroughly and if all entrails are removed. Currently, the agency noted that most of the coastal waters of the country are free from toxic red tide, including the coastal waters of Pampanga and Bulacan in central Luzon. The BFAR, however, said the only areas still affected by toxic red tide are Honda Bay in Prososo Prisasa, Palawan, Duis and Tacbilaran in Bohol, and Benito in Surigao del Norte, and Dumaquilas Bay in Zamboanga del Sur. Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascal on Friday issued an order suspending the sale, advertising, and distribution of vape products online, a move that tightened government regulation of an industry long opposed by the health community. This is a temporary suspension until the e-marketplaces are able to convince us of their compliance with their obligations under Republic Act No. 11900, or the vape law and other laws and related issuance, Pascal told reporters during a roundtable discussion in Makati. The head of the Department of Trade and Industry said the order was prompted mainly by the need to prevent the sale of vape products to minors and ensure that those being sold online meet the safety standards set by law. The directive, contained in the 4-page Department Order No. 24-03, takes effect immediately, he said. Vape companies and e-market operators should submit a sworn certification of their full compliance with the vape law to be allowed to resume sales, he added. Undersecretary Amanda Marie Nogales of the DTI's Consumer Affairs and Legal Services Group agency had secured the commitment of 2 e-market operators to delist vape sellers from their platforms following a meeting on June 27. He signified that to us through official letters and communication. But this is necessary because what about the orders? Nogales said. On June 14, the DTI said it had monitored close to 90,000 companies, including those operating online, engaged in the vape business. Of these, 526 have been issued short-class orders, while 284 have been given notices of violation by the DTI for various offenses such as selling vapes within 100 meters from a school, playground, or places frequented by minors, using ads or flavors designed to appeal to minors, or not posting minimum age signatures at the store. At least 32.76 million pesos worth of vape products have been confiscated so far by the DTI this year, mostly for being offered for sale without proper certifications like the Philippine Standard Mark and the Import Commodity Clearance sticker. Last month, the department ordered the mandatory certification of vape products in compliance with the Vape Act, which lapsed into law in July 2022. Retail prices of rice in public markets are expected to decline by up to 7 pesos a kilo in early August after the government cut the duties on imported rice, according to the Department of Agriculture. Based on the initial computation of the PSA, Philippine Statistics Authority, retail prices will be lowered by 6 pesos to 7 pesos per kilogram, Agriculture Secretary Arnold de Mesa said in an interview. De Mesa, also the DA's spokesperson, said consumers will feel the price reduction by the first week of August, even though some rice shipments levied with lower trips have already entered the country. The volume of imported rice that arrived in the country is not that huge in quantity, but within July, some of it would already have been released and reached the markets, he told reporters. The Bureau of Land Industry issued a total of 302 sanitary and phytosanitary import clearance, covering 264,316.50 metric tons of imported rice as of July 11. However, the Mesa cited government data in saying that 25,954 metric tons of imported rice reached the archipelago, much lower than the 157,111.75 metric tons recorded by the BPI in the same month a year before. Between January and this month, the volume of imported rice totaled 2.37 million metric tons. All rice imports are subject to a 50% duty levied by the government by virtue of Executive Order Number 62 signed by President Marcos last month. This last trips took effect on July 5. The President issued the EO effective until 2028 to ensure continued supply of essential food products at affordable prices. As of Friday, locally produced regular milled rice was priced from 55 pesos to 50 pesos per kilogram, higher than 36 pesos to 44 pesos per kilogram a year ago, based on the DA's price monitoring. Local well-milled rice ranged from 45 pesos to 55 pesos per kilogram, compared with 40 pesos to 49 pesos per kilogram. Imported regular milled rice was sold from 57 pesos to 49 pesos per kilogram, but it was not available last year. Meanwhile, imported well-milled rice retailed from 51 pesos to 5 pesos per kilogram, as opposed to 40 pesos to 48 pesos per kilogram. Meanwhile, the Mesa said the DA is targeting to expand further the coverage of its Program 29 aimed at selling subsidized rice by November this year. This is a long-term plan of the DA to extend the implementation of our 29 peso program, he said. As of this writing, the initiative is now, initiative is now being implemented in Bacoor, Cavite, and San Pedro City and Laguna. The DA earlier decided to implement this undertaking for a longer period to gather critical information. What we are studying is how much the NFA, National Food Authority, will spend for the process and everything else without alleging too much provisions for the subsidies. But these are social costs that the government has to bear, especially for vulnerable sectors, he said. Under the program, eligible beneficiaries can buy up to 10 kilos of rice a month for 29 pesos per kilogram. The vulnerable sector is packed at 6.9 million households, or around 34 million Filipinos, which include senior citizens, single parents with disabilities, and poor folk under the Conditional Cash Transfer Scheme. Excuse me? And finally, just in, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. approved the new Government Procurement Act and the Anti-Financial Account Scamming Act. Yup. the new Government Procurement Act and the Anti-Financial Accounts Coming Act. In a ceremony at the Malacan Palace on Saturday, July 20, Marcos signed the NGPA or Republic Act 1209, which is a harmonized version of Senate Bill number 2593 and House Bill number 948 that aims to address loopholes in the current government procurement system for a more economical and responsive process. The NGPA streamlines the procurement process from 3 months to just 60 days by standardizing procurement forms and institutionalizing electronic procurement, Marcos said in his speech. On the other hand, AFASA, or Republic Act 12010, intends to protect Filipinos from online scams. This new law mandates financial institutions to implement necessary safeguards to protect our citizens' accounts. It will protect our people from falling prey to predators who target the banks and e-wallet accounts, Marcos said. The Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council led by Marcos tagged the two laws as priority measures. And that is it for koolNews at noon. As always, if you have any news tip or feedback you want to send us, you can email it to tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. And we will be back later with koolNews at 4, 6, and an hour long of koolNews prime time at 9. Until then, I am Aspir. Good afternoon.